E tū e te whare e tūnei, hei whakaruru hau, mō ngā iwi nui o te ao e tatu mai nei I tēnei rā. E ngā mana, e ngā reo, tēnā koutou katoa. I greet and acknowledge you all alongside, as well as your mountains, your rivers, your lands and oceans gathered here today. Here in Hawaii, at this very special time of the year, makahiki. And we remember those who've passed on. Enjoying kia te ariki nui here before us today. In Aotearoa, we currently mourn the loss of a very famous actress, writer and director Nancy Brunning, who made a huge contribution back home to the way that we tell our stories, especially through the media in Aotearoa. Nō reira te kahurangi, haere rā, ki tua o te ārai, ki tua o te pai o maumahara, ko te pōrā ki a koutou, anā ko te ao ki a tātou, ki ngā mahuetanga iho e tatu mai nei I tēnei rā. So as I stand here today, I think of the eminent tupuna, ancestor Maui. And one of his heroic feats included a fishing expeditions with his brothers. And it was during that fishing expedition that he raised from the depths of the southern oceans a giant enchanted fish. Now, this giant fish was so distressed that it continued to quiver and shake. And so Maui turned to Ranginui, to the sky, to ask for help to appease this enchanted ika, as we say it in Māori. And from the sky descended Matua Te Mana, Ruapehu, the tupuna maunga, ancestral mountain of mai iwi Ngātirangi. So Ruapehu, this maunga, stands in the area near the heart of the great fish of Maui. And it stands in this great fish, Te Ika a Maui, which makes part of Aotearoa, the North Island of New Zealand, Aotearoa, my home. So this is a story. This is history. It captures our values and it provides the guidelines for cultural practices, political discussions, and even disputes. During the time of my tupuna, these stories were captured through chants, ori-ori, lullabies, haka, dance, waiata, and our artwork. These were the mediums that our tupuna used to pass on our stories through hundreds and thousands of years. Broadcasting and the media is about storytelling, and it is an extension of that. Another feat of Maui was so audacious that he even challenged death itself. And as I look at us here today in this room, we are audaciously striving to thrive, to make sure that our languages flourish and thrive into the future. And it's an honour to be here. Nō reira, tēnā koutou katoa. So today, I'm going to share some of the story of Whakaata Māori, Māori Television, starting with the following clip.
Te ao e noho nei tātou. Te ao e rāhiriti ana. Te ao kia rangona. Te ao kia tiakina. Te ao e horahia ana. Te ao e hono atu nei ki a poe. Te ao Māori News. Nā tātou.
So I know that there are some students here from Punahou, and you might have recognised Barack Obama in the footage there. And recognising that he did grow up in the islands of Hawaii. Here anō, whakaata Māori, at Māori Television, we see our role as te kuaha ki te ao Māori, the gateway or the door to the Māori world. Our viewers can stand from afar, looking at the entrance. They can come closer to take a peek inside, or step right in for the fully immersive experience. And this is what we do. The history of Māori television was shaped by Te Tiriti o Waitangi, the Treaty of Waitangi, which established the relationship between the British Crown, now the government in New Zealand, and Māori in 1840. Under the treaty, the Crown has a responsibility to protect and promote the Māori language and culture through broadcasting and make provision for that. Māori Television was established in 2004 after a very long struggle to ensure that the Crown, alongside Māori, adhered to treaty responsibilities. So, the primary function of Māori Television is to contribute to language revitalisation, the promotion and protection of our language by providing a service that entertains, that educates and informs, as well as enrich the history, culture and society in Aotearoa, New Zealand. Easy, right? So recently in Aotearoa in 2016, there was a review of the Māori Language Act and legislation. And this saw the development of a new framework which is based on the model of our traditional wharenui, or meeting house. And this is our approach to national language revitalisation. The two barge boards, or maihi, at the front of this wharenui are represented by the Crown, te Krauna, Maihi Krauna, and Māori, which are Māori iwi, tribes and communities. Now, the main focus of the Maihi Krauna is a macro, national approach that sees that te reo Māori is seen, heard and used every day, everywhere, every way. And on the Maihi Māori, the Māori side, there is a micro community approach that sees that te reo Māori becomes the first nurturing language within homes in Aotearoa, New Zealand. In whakaata Māori, we see ourselves in a very unique position as a Crown-funded entity with national and even international reach, yet we connect and engage directly with individuals in their homes and in communities. So we see ourselves as supporting both sides of the whare and supporting the entire strategy in Aotearoa, New Zealand. So if we look at language figures in Aotearoa, the most reliable statistics were actually from the 2013 census. At that time, there were 4 million people in Aotearoa, and Māori reaching almost 600,000. And of that, only 21.3% of the Māori population self-identified as speakers of Māori. And of the entire national population, that was only 2.7%, 148,000. But when it comes to speaking Māori, it's maintaining a simple conversation, which could be saying kia ora or hello. The 2017 census results in terms of language haven't been released yet, but our population has increased somewhat to 4.7 million, with Māori at 700,000 of the population. But there's still a long way to go in Aotearoa, and we see ourselves at whakaata Māori playing a key role in revitalising our language. Now, thinking back to our tupuna, Maui. I'm going to use this Te Tokorima a Maui to look at key elements of language planning and how we contribute. If you raise your hand, in Māori, Te Tokorima a Maui is used to describe the hand, which refers to Maui's family, of which there were 5 brothers, and he was the youngest. And it also makes a reference to how Maui attempted to deceive his aunt, Mahuika, by extinguishing her children, which were the flames of her fingers. In terms of language planning, at Māori Television, we contribute to the mana, the status of the language, by promoting it, showing that it's cool, as you can see right here. Not a traditional hand action, but that it's cool and relevant in our daily lives. That is our primary role as a broadcaster in the media. Secondly, it's to ensure that there is a level of marama pū, critical awareness, nationally among our viewers, but also among our staff at Whakaata Māori, so that we know the history of language decline and cultural decline in Aotearoa, as well as efforts to revive, and exactly why we're here as an entity, as Whakaata Māori in Aotearoa. Thirdly, we contribute to the corpus, the tinana, the body of language, through the content that we create and share with others, our stories in a range of contexts and different uses of language, as well as bringing out archival footage and sharing that among the descendants of the people who relate to that. Fourthly, when it comes to language acquisition, we have had shows that are instructional, but we support all of those who are on their language journey, regardless of the stage. And finally, the ultimate goal is for language to be spoken, kia kōrero tia, and for it to be used. Although we can't influence that directly, we certainly can by creating the environment and showing the relevance of our language in our daily lives in Aotearoa. So another key model in Aotearoa that is used to measure engagement with language is the Zipa model, which comes from our creation story and extends on Joshua Fishman's theory of reversing the language shift. So we start with te kore, which is the void, the nothingness. This is how the world was created. And then it's followed by te pō, the long night, that ends in awatea, daylight and understanding. And this is used to describe language engagement in Aotearoa. Basically, zero or very little engagement with te reo Māori to passive and limited understanding, right through to being active. And in terms of the media industry in Aotearoa, this determines the amount of Māori language content in shows that we commission, that we broadcast and produce ourselves. So receptive shows have a range of 0 to 30% Māori language content. Passive shows are 30 to 70%, and for the fluent audience, it's from 70% to 100%. And at Māori Television, we broadcast a minimum of 51% Māori language content on our main channel, Māori Television, and we also have Te Reo channel, a second channel that's entirely in Te Reo Māori, that caters to those who are in the awatea phase, the active phase. And our key role is to try and shift our audience through these phases. We're currently developing a model to see how we can measure the impact we have on that shift. This is also used by Te Māngai Pāho, the Māori Broadcasting Funding Agency, to determine how it funds Māori programs in Aotearoa, New Zealand. And we're working alongside them to develop a model of impact based on this, the Zipa. So, another exciting thing we've just done at Whakaata Māori is launch Te Huapai o Te Rangi, which means the horizon across the sky. And this is our outcomes framework. Traditionally, the focus has been on outputs. How many viewers are watching our shows? How many hours of Māori language content are we broadcasting, or receptive, passive levels of content? Whereas now, Te Huapai o Te Rangi, our outcomes framework is determining the outcomes that we're striving for in terms of contributing to language revitalisation in Aotearoa. And its three pillars are, firstly, our staff. So we support our staff, our kaimahi, with language planning. Our managers this year have all attended language planning workshops to help them personally within their own lives, but also in leading our organisation and the departments and teams they lead at Whakaata Māori. We continue to support them with professional development and their technical skills as well. Secondly, with our audience, we want to engage our viewers so they feel excited and inspired to connect to te ao Māori, te reo and te ao Māori in terms of culture. And finally, we enable our partners to play their role in language revitalisation efforts. And those partners include the Māori Language Commission, the Māori Broadcasting Funding Agency, but also kura, kōhanga, iwi and communities within Aotearoa. And we're very excited to be launching this year. And in fact, there's been a review of the entire Māori media sector in Aotearoa, and there are proposed changes that are likely to happen in the next few years. We see it as an exciting opportunity, so watch this space, e hoama. And as an example of how we're implementing our outcomes framework, we regularly have students from wharekura come for work experience, because the pool of talent that we require to be able to create the content and continue to tell the stories that we want to share are in those students who are at kura and growing with te reo Māori as their first language. And these are some snippets from the classes that we provide. All staff are entitled to learn te reo Māori, and we have on-site classes regularly to support them. We have a range of levels of Māori language abilities and experiences, from those who are Māori to even non-Māori staff members at Māori Television. And we also celebrated our 15th year anniversary, as you can see the cake right there, which was tēnō reka. So to show just a little bit of our journey so far, here's another clip that I'm excited to show you. The song in this clip was composed and performed by Maimoa. And Maimoa are New Zealand storytellers from Aotearoa, young Māori. They've grown up through kōhanga reo, kura and wharekura. And this particular song, kawea, means to carry. And really it captures what we're about. It's to carry our stories from now into the future in Aotearoa.
Kei tua te awe māpara, te mauri o toi ho matua, kei whakapono ki ngā whakawai, e mānama ai koe, whakarongo mai. Kia ngātahi, kia Māori, he whānau kotahi, he kina te manuka.
Kia ngātahi, kia Māori, kia rere ki te ao.
Kia ora. So I understand that many of you don't have the relationships with your governments or the access to resources like we do. So what can we each do here in terms of the media space? When we think about technology, even Maui himself would be extremely impressed. And we look at Indigenous peoples around the globe, and I think of Mauna Kea and the stories that are being shared through digital platforms, online and social media. You raise your hand to toko rima a Māui. It's as simple as holding the phone in your hand, capturing a story and sharing it globally within your own community or to the wider world. Now, interestingly, in Aotearoa youth, those under 25 make up half of the Māori population. And so we're a very youthful iwi in Aotearoa. And this year, we've launched a youth hub. It's led by a team of content creators who are all under the age of 30, and it's basically by us, for us, even though I'm not under 30 anymore. And again, we show the range of the Zipa model. Some are very active, fluent speakers of Te Reo Māori, and others are just beginning their journey of Te Reo. It's on social media, it's only online, and by the end of the symposium, you'll all be following Tuku HQ through Instagram, and we're going to take a snippet at some of the stories and footage that they have been creating for this new platform. So Tuku is the name of the platform, and it means to send. And our catchphrases, share it, send it, like it. So let's take a look at our rangatahi and what they have to offer.
Nau mai hara mai ki te oro kōhanga o ngā reo reka o te ao.
Ora.
Te taha.
Wow.
Bathroom jams e te iwi.
Just finished my bathroom jams with Pere. I had so much fun, it was me.
Don't speak. Don't speak.
And you never change.
You killed myself.
I know. Cut. I don't want any more from you now.
So make sure you follow Tuku HQ on Instagram. Heoi anō e te iwi. Remember the audacity of Māui, the courage, creativity and adventurous spirit that he had to raise this gigantic fish from the depth of the ocean that became a new home and new land for our reo. And there are other terrains and new domains for all of our languages to carry on into the next generations and into the future. Nō reira, tēnā koutou, tēnā koutou, tēnā koutou katoa. Kia ora. Kia ora.